everyone, and welcome back to I'm a Fan. I'm your host, Kim Eberly, and also the producer of the show. Today, we're here with author, writer, and playwright Larry Schwabacher. Welcome, Larry.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Oh, yeah, I'm glad you're here.
Yeah.
So I want to start off and talk to you about, growing up and, when did you figure out that you wanted to be a writer? When did that happen?
Actually, the funny thing is, out of growing up and all my friends, how when you say, "Oh, I'm going to be a fireman, a policeman," and all that, I always knew I was going to be either a writer or something to do with animals. And my friends even said, "You always knew what you wanted to do." I says, "Yeah."
But what year was that? Like in high school, did you take like writing classes or?
Actually, no, but I'll tell you where I think it really began. It was back in sixth grade. I had this teacher, Mr. Bellotti, which I'm sorry I never kept in touch with him. He wanted us, the class, to write a little short story. Sixth grade, nothing great, and draw pictures with it and make like a little book. And I wrote this story called Harry the Canary, which was, I guess you could say, was sort of like There's No Place Like Home, because he was like in the cage and always dreamed about being in the park with the other birds, and he finally gets out and it just doesn't work out to his best advantage, so he ends up back home. It's sort of like maybe the Wizard of Oz influenced me. It's like, no, there's no place like home, basically. And and actually I was the only one in the class that I couldn't believe it. I got a standing ovation from all the kids.
Oh.
And I think that's what kind of pushed me to do more and more writing.
So going forward to like high school, and then when you got out of high school, what was like your first real writing piece you felt that you've done?
Oh, that's a tough question, because I never joined a writing class or nothing in school. But I think about that. And I think I used to just write, and it's weird stuff, and I would read it to my family. It was like, at that time, I think it was a mistake, because they get a kick out of it. And it's like, I remember writing a piece about, I guess this is not going to surprise you, about cats going around killing people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
What was the inspiration for that?
I have no idea. But one of my inspirations, I'll be honest with you, was the Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
I grew up on that. I loved that, those kind of stuff, fantasies, imaginary worlds, animation. I still love watching animation. I think I do watch that more than anything. A lot of the movies that are not Disney, like Don Bloom, The Land Before Time, all those types of. I just love them. Being on Netflix, I've been watching a lot of these weird cartoon things, like one that's really, I don't know, realize it's about birds. They're all birds. Tuca and Birdie. It's like actually it's a strange cartoon, but it's crazy. So
Yeah, so have you ever saved any of your things from childhood, like your
yeah,
writings? And because I know you like to save things, but you've saved.
yeah, I have stuff.
Have you ever looked back on them and,
Yes,
and said
I
to
have.
yourself, what was I thinking?
No, I never said what was I thinking.
Oh,
All I would say is, "Oh my God, I wrote this," and it's not that it's bad. It's funny, because how I explained how I wrote back then, it was like Barbie doll. It went. You wrote, "I go over here, I do this," like a
oh,
little girl moving a Barbie doll
right.
around, and that's what it was more like. I mean, I
It
have.
wasn't as sophisticated.
Oh, definitely not. I
Yeah.
mean, I sat there for 2 days straight, wrote this soap opera, which I never finished, but I still have the whole thing in the book. It's like, oh my God, yeah,
So there's a couple different types of writing styles. I mean, you excelled in Playwright,
yeah.
which is writing for plays. So can you tell me what was your first piece of writing that actually became a play that was acted out?
96. I actually entered um, the Strawberry One Acts. I had 2 plays in the One Act. One was The Barn, which was...
I can't. Don't make me kill you! I swear I will kill you! She'll do it. Stay back! I will kill you! Don't she will! Do it. Barry?
Oh my God! He's dead!
Travis? You're alive?
Which was a joke on the joke. It ends up the 2 girls end up killing, which we've done before with you. I've done with you. Swing. I did swing. Some Derai loved my work, and he did swing. She did swing, and actually I won that year, the Sterling X swing.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that now. The 2 plays that you're talking about, The Barn and Swing, actually was performed at Hub 17 for the very first Grand Guignol, which was 2018.
Yeah,
Actually, Swing wasn't. The Barn was.
The Barn.
The Barn.
Yeah.
And that was in a black box theater. And it was really interesting. It had like a twist to it.
Yeah.
And that, but it was comedic too. There were some funny moments.
I know.
So you kind of like coupled like sort of like a horror genre with humor.
Yeah. Well, that's my mission statement is basically it's about that comedy and tragedy go together. You really can't have tragedy without a little bit of comedy in it, and you can't have comedy without a little bit of tragedy. Because if you think about it, like some of the great writers, with Shakespeare, he did comedy and tragedy very well, and he mixed it up. So you got to have a little. Sometimes you can't be too heavy. You got to be a little light. But
right.
As we know, my writing has changed since then.
Yes.
But yeah, so it was like, and that I think was also influenced with a Twilight Zone episode. Somehow got influenced by that. So with The Barn we're talking about. Yeah.
Right. So, The Barn. Swing though was a lot different than it was really a comedy. It was really over the top funny. That was in another show that we did at the Hub. It might have been Into Madness, Back to Sanity, I'm thinking.
No,
Checklist?
that was that. Yeah, I would think it was Checklist.
Okay,
because
So, tell me about how you came up with Swing because.
Yeah, whether you like it or not. What is your problem? Okay? Here. Now, Juliet is one hot lady, so I'll trade you.
You can't have my wife.
Oh, yeah? Why not? Oh, I see. You want me. I gotta just tell you, I don't usually go that way. You guys seem like so good.
Honey, stop it. I don't think they know the real reason why we're here.
Well, they answered the ad. I mean, you guys answered the ad about swinging.
Yeah, swinging with the bands. Glenn Miller, Benny Goodman, Andrews Sisters.
What are you talking about? What are they talking about, Glenn Miller? Who in the hell is Glenn Miller?
Honey, swing was also known as the big band era. My parents always listened to that.
Holy shit. See, you mean to tell me that you guys thought that we were coming over to listen to your old fogey music? Yeah, I don't think so.
You ever watch Archie Bunker?
Of course.
Okay, there was an episode where Archie Bunker invited this couple over, I don't know, for dinner or whatever, and it ended up they were swingers.
Oh.
I don't know if you remember that episode.
I kind of do,
But what happened was I took that idea and took it further, as you know, with the comedy of swing. It's about an older couple inviting another couple over to go swing dancing.
Right.
And the younger couple is looking for swingers.
Right.
Yeah, that's how that actually came to pass.
Yeah, it's hilarious. It really was funny. So how do you come up with your stories? Because you've written a variety of different topics.
actually, I don't want, it's just a natural thing for me. If I like the idea, I like to hit on issues, and just have fun and take it to craziness, and not always so crazy. I mean, I'll give you an example, which is another play we did. I wrote for another, I don't know which one it was for. It was Forget Me Not.
Who are you? What
Oh,
are you doing in my
Let's not
house?
go through this again. I'll tell Violet how much you loved her picture. Where is Corinne?
Get out. Get out! Get out of my house!
I think we're finished. Hey, with knitting for today. Sit down. No more knitting for you. Drink some more tea. Drink. Oh, look at the bouquet of flowers. Did you bring them?
Yeah, they're Mom's favorite.
Forget-me-nots. Isn't it nice that Jameson came to see you?
And Jameson is the name of my son.
Yes.
And he's right over there.
And that's was based on Alzheimer's.
Right.
And I don't have actually, not that I know any of my family who's ever suffered from that, but that's something that I'm very, for some reason, fascinated about.
It's a really intense piece.
Yeah, and it's like, this is what I wanted to see. And then, like, even go further, there's another piece which we never did, but I've done it up in the city, called The Hug, which was something that used to bother me a lot. Like, it's about child molestation, where these kids are accused, they accuse these people of molesting them. And I always thought, well, what if someone accused you of molesting them and you never did, because
Right.
they're trying to get out of something, like, in schoolwork. So what happens then? And I find that even if you're accused of that and proven innocent, you still got that mark on you. You still, everybody thinks of you as a molester. So I wrote this piece called The Hug, which is about a young boy who goes and finds the guy he accused of, well, he isn't so young now, he's out of school, whatever, but he goes looking for the teacher he accused of molesting him because he didn't want to do some homework or something.
Yeah.
And is asking for forgiveness. And the teacher lost everything and has ended up working in a diner somewhere upstate. So I'm not going to tell you the outcome of that play, because I'm going
Right.
to do it again, but that's the gist of the play.
Yeah, it's pretty intense.
Yeah. It's funny. I started off with comedy and light, and I'm going in now to the dark side. No, I'm only kidding.
Yeah.
The darker. I mean, I still do comedy. I mean, you got it.
Yeah.
I don't.
So, so besides like different pieces, you have a collection of short monologues, and it's called Larry's Women, and we've done quite a few at the Hub. We actually had one show based on all of your, like a lot of your plays, Larry's Women. But how many of you have quite a few? How many do you have of the monologues?
I have to date 40. Well, I think 50. Because I just finished a short series of Dark Ladies, 7, and then it was 7 monologues. They're short pieces, but they range from 1 page to like 3 to 4 pages.
Right, and they're of all different topics. I remember I did one at the Hub. Our friend Helene acted in it, and she played a lady who was addicted to sweets.
Right.
I forget what that was called.
Just Desserts.
Just Desserts, right.
Yeah, she played Naomi.
Right, Naomi. And that was like one topic. And there was a bunch. I mean, your Larry's Women are all different things that, like, you tell me about a few of them.
All right, well, it's good. Now I got to, because I always do. There's one that you have not seen, which has been performed up in the city a couple of times. It's called Tied Hands, which is about a social worker, talks about a case of an abused little girl that her father was abusing her, and she couldn't do nothing because, you have to go through the system, and the kid ends up dying at the end of it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And, all right, let me give you a lighter one now. And then there's the one that I've done and you've seen. In fact, a very good actress friend of mine did, Margaret Chase, called Cluck, which is about Professor Chickadee Biggs, which is about this professor obsessed with chickens.
Right, right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
And yeah. And
You
it's,
had a Christmas one too.
yeah, Holly Days.
Holly Days.
Yeah, that was done a few times. It was done by Leanne and Maria.
Yeah, so tell me about your Dark Women, Larry's Women, but the Dark Women series that
Yeah.
you started to do like right now, most recently.
I hate to say it, but evil, because it's a vampire, it's a ghost, it's a nurse that actually kills people. It's really Dark Women, and it's of course one of my classic monologues, which was done with Larry's Women, which called The Doll Collector, and it's all those kind of women. It's just
Like dark stories.
dark stories, dark women.
Yeah.
Not like oh, I cheated on my husband or my husband cheated on, but these are like, I would say
Demons
demon.
and-
Oh yeah,
yeah.
in fact there is a demon called Razor.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Actually, yeah,
you-
you sort of transitioned over into short indie film,
Yeah.
which I know you're doing too. Coming up, you're going to change The Madness of Ivy Rose
Right.
into a short, and Raven, we're going to do a short.
Yeah, the
with-
Canary Song.
The Canary Song.
Canary
right.
Song
That's
is
a
the name of
character.
that short film.
Right. So, how difficult is it for you to switch from playwriting to film? Because they're two totally different things.
I don't think it's hard. It's just that you have to think different. You got to think. Playwriting is dialogue driven, okay, and film is vision. It's all vision. It's not dialogue. It's more visional. That you're showing because you can go beyond the 6 foot by 6 foot stage, let's say, or whatever size stage. You're not limited to an area that you have to do. You have to write and do things where it's all going to fit in this area. Where film, you can go around the world basically. It's sort of like books. You can go anywhere in the book. You could take people everywhere. Where like books, film still has a little bit of more limitations than writing books, because you can really go very fast. Because I'm very fast. I'm very fantasy driven, and stuff like that.
Yeah. So, what are your like upcoming projects that you're interested in doing? I know you're working on a few things.
Yeah, well, basically, it's the films that we're doing. That's the next thing. But actually, I'm thinking about writing a book called Whiskers. It's cat stories. Yeah, it's people. I'm a cat freak. And it's not going to be.
There's always someone in the crowd.
Yeah, right? And it's not going to be sweet little cat stories. I like I've been told.
Well, don't give too much away.
Yeah.
'Cause- yeah, but
It's going to be a mixture of nonfiction, which are real cat stories with the cats I've had, and made up stories, I
Yeah.
guess, which are not, fiction stories.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because I know a lot of people that have pet cats,
Yeah.
and they're always telling me things that had happened.
Yeah.
Like funny stories or something silly. I just showed you one recently where the launch pad or Basil, is his name Basil,
Yeah.
from
The-
Amazon, took off and launched his rocket just last week. And my cat Garfield was looking at the TV screen, and he was literally going like this
Yeah.
at the screen. And
Thank you again, everybody, for joining us live for our first UN flight on New Shepard. So far, phenomenal flight. Our boosters have
you have a great love for animals, and in that, you came up with doing a style of tarot readings using animals. Tell us about that, because you did a reading for me, and I thought it was pretty interesting.
Well, it isn't my style. It's they're called medicine cards,
Okay.
and they deal with nature and animals and stuff, and they all mean different things. But I innately connected to that and I actually pretty much, could look at you with your permission. You never just blurt out things. And if you would ask me, what do I see? I usually see animal around you. That usually what's going on. Just tell you what it is, how you use it, how whether you believe it or you don't believe it. It's basically just letting you know this is what I feel's around or what you need to do.
Yeah, recently you told me that a horse was around me or something.
Yeah,
So what does the horse mean? Because I thought I'm like a horse.
Yeah, and I also bought you a horse.
You did.
Not a real horse, people, a statue. It's about safe movement and power. Mm-hmm. About going from your projects, right? Because you're doing more projects than I'm doing. Every time I turn around, you're doing something else.
Yeah.
But so it's basically about moving through your life a lot easier, and knowing you have the power when you don't know what you're doing.
Do you remember any other of the animals that I had in my reading? Because I know it was a while ago you did mine, but I can't remember what they were. Like, it was weird animals, like a badger or some. I don't know. Do you remember any of them or no?
Well, I don't know if this was one of your animals, but I keep seeing the deer around you. And
what does that mean?
That's about gentleness and being gentle to yourself. And that could be, take care of yourself better.
That could mean a lot to me, like taking care of myself better.
Yeah.
But you mentioned deer. I'm writing about a short story about a deer hunter.
Right.
But that's not a take care of yourself story.
No, I know that, but that's a writing.
Like,
we're not talking about the story. We all have
right.
imaginations. I mean, some of the things I write about is like scary. Yeah.
I always find that the most interesting stories are the most complex.
Yeah.
And the most sometimes really disturbing, but the most interesting story to me is real life. And when you're a writer, it always seems that you write about something about or real life.
Right.
And if you're not writing about that, it's like where you get your stories from. Like some of the best shows out on TV and stuff right now are the crazy ones. Like Breaking Bad was like always one of my favorite shows, and that's about a science teacher who needed a little extra money because he discovered he had cancer, and he got involved with a meth lab. I mean, that's craziness, but it was.
They say it only happens in the movies. You know what? It happens in real life. Most of this stuff that people think only happened in the movies. Because where do you think the person who's writing this got it from?
Right.
It's their life. It's either the life or someone else's life that they know about.
Yeah, and I'm always fascinated because it seems like people are drawn towards the cruelty of life and not the comedy of life.
Yeah.
And a lot of stuff that's written is like about that.
Yeah, it's the good is boring. Let's be bad.
Yeah. And it's like, you're driving down the road all the time. I get stuck on the Staten Island Expressway because there's a car accident on the other side, but it's called rubbernecking, where you stop and you have to look at
That's
it.
what I'm saying, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, let's look at the person, see if there's anyone dead or whatever.
Right, like where is that coming from inside us? Because that's kind of like a little morbid when you think about it.
Well, unfortunately, that's the way, most people are.
Yeah.
I mean,
be grateful.
Be grateful it wasn't you.
Right.
And pray for the person it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they don't do that. People they like the pain. They like to know. It's like, think about it. I read this somewhere. I know I'm not saying this the first one. You could do 150 million good things, but it's the one thing you do wrong everybody keeps reminding you about.
Yeah, and that's sad.
Yeah, it's like crazy.
That's really sad.
It's life, yeah.
But it is. It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
So, as a writer, I mean, you see the world differently as a creative, I should say. Like, everything's sort of magnified. Because I know we've had many conversations while we were out and about.
Yeah.
And we would say, oh, that would be a good short story.
Life's a play to me. Everybody says life's a play because every time I see, that'd make a good play. It's like if I was to write everything I wanted to write, you would never see me, because it's like amazing. I always tell people I am blessed with the fact that I am not lacking for ideas. I do get writer's block, I've gotten writer's block, but not, and it's funny, not for long terms, And,
How do you get out of that?
it just natural get out of it. It goes maybe something spark. I don't know how I got out of it. I think the longest writing block I had is about maybe a month, which most writers will say, lucky you, because I know people who go for a long time, and it amazes me, which is good in a way and bad in a way, is I don't understand how somebody could work on the same piece 5 or 6 years and do nothing else, which I give focus. I couldn't do that. I think that's why I write short plays. It kind of makes, it's like quick fix. It's like drugs. It's my drug of choice. Boom, boom, boom. But then I do have full length plays. That I've written. So I have done both. My plays range from 1-page plays, which I tried. I had that contest, to my longest piece is 120 pages.
That's not bad.
Yeah, well, plays are like 90 minutes, so you figure about 90 pages. So, but 120 is a little too long. But
Got butt power for that play.
Yeah.
With intermission and
yeah, it goes quick. Trust me, my writing goes quick with plays.
So I have to say, you are the person who got me involved in theater, because I was never into theater at all until I met you.
Should we tell them how we met?
Oh, yeah, we could do that.
I love that story.
Okay, so tell the story. This is how we met.
Kimber, I found out through a mutual friend of ours. I think it was Mike Vesey.
Okay.
Told me that they're looking for short plays for a series of, they're doing the Grand Guion. And I found out the Grand Guion has to do with French theater with violence and sex.
Yes, and let me just explain this. The Grand Guignol originated over in France, I believe, and it ran in the late 1800s to the early 1900s. I think for 50 years it ran, and it was the theater of horror, but it was real intense. It was run to shock. It was a shock value, so you would go and audience expected to get grossed out and shocked, in the theater itself. So we decided to do a Staten Island Grand Guignol, and when I put the call out for playwrights to write for the show, go ahead.
Yeah, I sent her a play. I looked it up and found out it had also to do with sex. So
yes, it did.
I sent her a play called Hot Prison Love Letters, which is a gay piece about a guy who breaks out of jail to get this guy to have sex. I sent it to her. I don't know how I found out that you really didn't care for it.
No,
I think you called me and told me.
Well, I was like, what am I reading? What am I reading here? Hot prison love sex? What am I reading? Oh my God.
So I sent her another play.
Yeah, I think, do you got anything else?
Yeah.
I think I asked you that.
Yeah, I sent another play, The Barn, which we've done.
Which,
all right.
Yeah, we decided to have in the show.
All right, so they had a table reading. So they invited everybody. So I went down.
Yeah.
And she's sitting there, and I says, well, I guess she didn't like my first piece. And then she realized what it was.
And I clicked. I went, "Oh, you're the guy
who wrote
the Hot Prison Love
Letters."
Oh my God!
And then we ended up friends. So
yes,
it worked out fine.
I didn't hold a grudge.
No,
against
why?
You.
Yeah. I mean, you like the other piece. We've been doing theater together for a while now. I think 2 or 3 years.
But I have to say, actually, in the real Grand Guignol in France, they probably would have took that play.
Yeah.
But it's Staten Island, so I wanted to like have it a little milder.
Yeah, no,
I don't know how Staten
yeah.
Island audience. I mean,
Yeah, there's certain. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, but I was actually, in a kind of way, love to shake things up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to be honest with you, I used to be a CTV producer. And I had a piece that I did in 1990 called The Other Person. I had it filmed. It was like we did a film. We did it outside in this woman's house and this other, location shoot. It was a half hour long, and it was about a married man having an affair with another man. And that was put on CTV in 1990.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, I could see in the 90s with CTV because they were a little bit, they had the adult content
Yeah.
late at night. They, because you're supposed to be able to put anything on you want. It's not censored.
Yeah.
So they would have that on. Usually industrial television was a big adult kind of show.
Yeah.
So I could see where they would actually have that, like, as opposed to now. I don't
Yeah,
think
I
they
know.
put it
And
on.
I had friends that I ran into, like, oh my God, that was my life you had. I'm like, oh, okay. I just like,
Well, like I said, there's nothing like real life, right?
Yeah.
So people that can relate to it, you've done your job.
I know.
Right?
I've done my job. Yes,
Yeah.
it was like I said, people say to me, you don't care if people don't like your work? And I say to them, if they see my play and they don't really care for it, okay. If they hate it, that's great. But if they're wishy-washy, then I got to look at the play. It's got to be, if you hate it, that's great, because I write for reaction. If you love it, that's great. But if you're like, I don't know how I feel, I got to go back and look at it again.
Right, because maybe they didn't get the story totally.
Yeah, well, maybe
right?
it's not, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's crazy. I'm actually, I'm just going to put a plug in, if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if, I am also a resident playwright of the Manhattan Repertory Theater in New York. And this guy, the artistic director, Ken Wolf, a great person to connect with, to work with. I actually have done, believe it or not, 20 of my pieces up at that theater.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I'm looking to do it again, so I got to call Ken to see when he's starting again, because this COVID really sucky.
Sure.
It kind of put everything, and I missed not doing live theater, because we couldn't do it here either.
Right. We had to change them into short films.
Yeah.
Right.
So basically, if you really want to, if you have a play that you'd like to see get up on its feet, I don't know what he's doing now, but it wouldn't hurt to get online, look up the Manhattan Repertory Theater and artistic director Ken Wolf, and just check it out. And maybe you could put your play up, because he's actually not that expensive. I mean, you are going to have to front some money, but that's normal these days.
It's a minimal
Yeah.
amount. Yeah.
So it's something to think about, because Margaret Chase had the play she did here up there.
Pendulum.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I had to do that plug.
So Larry, I just want to let you know that I'm a fan.
Oh, thank you.
And I've been a fan for a long time. And I want to thank you for coming on the show.
Oh, you're welcome.
And I'm sure, we're continuing to do projects together, of course.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to seeing your book, Whiskers, and whatever projects you're going to do for
Yeah.
us. So keep on doing it.
I'm going to.
And until next time, we'll see you then.